The next slide, the common mistakes. अच्छा, अब इसके लिए advice क्या है? Please write down those advices. Check. You choose 2 passages and clearly label theme in your answer. Right? You clearly label theme in your answer. You are referring specifically to those 2 passages, not the other, and not general theme which could be in any passage. Please do not paraphrase. You have to use your own words and do not copy the translation by paraphrasing.
मैम ये बात रिपीट कर सकती हैं आप?
जी बेटा, मैंने ये कहा कि आप पैराफ्रेज नहीं करेंगे. पैराफ्रेज का मतलब ये होता है कि यू हैव सिंप्लीफाइंग द ट्रांसलेशन इनटू योर वर्ड्स एंड देन राइटिंग इट डाउन. उसको पैराफ्रेज करना कहते हैं, उसको आसान इंग्लिश में लिखना कहते हैं. दैट मींस इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. थीम होता है कि आपने स्पेसिफिकली क्वेश्चन को ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ी, ट्रांसलेशन के बाद आप स्पेसिफिक एक क्वेश्चन करेंगे कि व्हाट इज इट अबाउट. देन इट इज गोइंग टू गिव यू ऑल द थीम्स. When you are reading the translation of any specific passage, then it is going to give you the answer. What is it about? And the theme is there. So paraphrase ka matlab, what do we mean by paraphrasing? By simplifying the English into your own words. That is not required. That is going to cut your marks. Simply no, 0 marks. Okay? Then in part B, explain from the viewpoint of a Muslim in today's world. Make sure you do not repeat part A. Show understanding by referring to Muslims' life, by giving the concrete example. By that is showing the implementation. And keep a track of a time. That is mandatory. Time. We have to be very specific in writing down. G?
How do we identify the theme?
How do we identify what?
The themes.
The theme. The only the thing that you can identify the theme is, for example, you have the translation in front of you, and if you're reading the text, and after reading the text, you just question mark, what is it about? Keep one statement. What is it about? If you are writing down what is it about, it is going to give you, for example, it is about the oneness of God, it is about the attribute of God, it is about the, you can say the power of God. So what is it about? It is about the relationship of God with the world. It is about the relationship of God with the messengers. So it is going to show you by reading the only the translation. Okay? Am I clear enough? Does it make sense to you now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so keep a track of the time and a total of about 15 minutes. 4 आपने उसमें करने होते हैं parts, 2 part A's and 2 part B's, and then again part A's together, part B's together, and please do not separately write down first theme and then implementation. No, both part A's together and part B's together. And if there is a time, reread your answer. If your point does not read like you thought it would be, or does not make sense, you can write it down. But I'm sure that you won't be having time because Islamiat is very, very comprehensive. Majority of the students you must have acknowledged by writing down your mock exams that many students, they come up with a complaint, ma'am, we knew the answer, but we didn't have the time. I'm sure that you must be having the same problem while you will be sorting it out. Okay, ji? Okay. Now we are moving on to us. जो सबसे आसान काम है कि हम नेक्स्ट इसके ऊपर क्या कर सकते हैं कि हम कॉमन मिस्टेक फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 2, जो आप लोगों का पेपर 1 और पेपर 2 में होता है, कॉमन मिस्टेक्स क्या होते हैं, लेट्स जस्ट फाइंड इट आउट. मैं बहुत फास्ट तो नहीं जा रही. एम आई क्लियर इनफ टू एवरीवन?
यस मैम.
ऑलराइट, दैट्स ग्रेट. Somebody wants to ask me some question. They have raised their hands, but I can take the questions by the end of the presentation. Now, a common mistake for question number 2. I'm going to give you the example of relationship of God with the created world in paper 1, or relationship of God with the messengers. इसमें करते क्या है कि some students they make mistake by writing down what happened in the life of the prophet. For example, Surah Qasar is given, or Surah Duha is given. So instead of writing down the relationship, instead of writing down the themes of the passage, the student, they write down the event of the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the focus should have been on the belief in the prophets. Bits from the life of the prophet could be used as an example, but make sure that this should not be the main point. Am I clear enough? Did you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
इसकी मैं एग्जांपल देती हूँ. जैसे आपका क्वेश्चन आया था मॉक एग्जाम में, क्वेश्चन नंबर 2, रिलेशनशिप ऑफ गॉड विद द मैसेंजर्स. So you have to write down any 2 of the passages. In that particular question, students, they had written down all of the passages instead of highlighting any 2 and highlighting the theme presented in present in the passage 2. You need to please make sure paragraph were often not used. Candidates, they do forget to make the paragraph. It has to be your answer, your Islamiat has to be written down in a complete prose. It has to be divided into paragraphs. It has to be divided into small paragraphs. Start with a clear point, explain it, and give examples, and if possible, a quote. Then paragraphs should be written clearly with the line space. There are different types of writing down the paragraphs. You can write it down whatever the style you are using. You can make a leave a line, or you can leave the you can say one line or one finger from the from the margin line. So, but make sure you are dividing your work into paragraph. It can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6, but it should be a best answer should be written down in paragraphs, and each paragraph should be started from a new point. Okay? It should be in paragraph. It should be. G.
Ma'am, we can't give headings in these paragraphs related to a new point.
No, you cannot. You're not allowed to give headings. You're not allowed to write down in points. But it means a new point means that, for example, you're writing down something new. You're starting something new. Let's take an example of Battle of Badr. So you are starting from the causes. You're starting from the background. This is one point, and you have to start from the strategy. So you have the strategy is a new point. You have to write down the strategy has to be done, has to be started from a new point. That means a new paragraph. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So some candidates, they do not give example from the life of the Prophet, particularly about the moral character. This is a common mistake that students they perform. मैं ये themes of the passages की बात कर रही हूँ. The role of the Prophet, including warning people that worshipping idols was wrong. They also warned people not to do bad things because God will judge them in future. But many candidates, they forgot to write these points. So I am concluding this question number 2, the common mistake. अब इसमें part B में क्या करते हैं कि some students they what they have written down, they wrote description. Description is never needed in part, is always needed in part A but never needed in part B. Part B में क्या चीज चाहिए होती है? Evaluation, explanation कि आपकी understanding क्या है उसमें. So part A, question assessment objective 2. This is assessment objective 2, understanding and analysis. And some students, they did not make clear where they wrote new points. One point that is a miracle that shows God's appointed messengers, और कुछ student क्या करते हैं, jumble up कर देते हैं. So their points are jumbled up. It is not giving a clear explanation of the or elaboration of the point. So separate point needs to be written down in a new. आपके लिए वो clear एक one point develop करो, फिर उसके बाद एक separate point करो. जैसे अगर miracle का point है, वो एक point है. अगर आपका गॉड इसकी डिस्क्रिप्शन दे रहे हो, उसकी जो प्रॉफिट्स की है वो अलग पॉइंट है, अल्लाह की पावर है वो डिफरेंट पॉइंट है. सो अनदर पॉइंट इज दैट प्रॉफिट्स हेल्प नेशंस डू वेल इन एरियाज दे वर गुड एट. सम स्टूडेंट जी आपके लिए पेजेस दिए जाते हैं, you can write it down the quotations. जी somebody wants to ask me something?
Yes, ma'am.
जी बेटा.
Now, what if we have to write between two things? So can we write in 60-40 ratio? Like if we know, for example, qiyas and ijma. If we know more about qiyas, we can write more about qiyas and less about ijma. Can we write in such way?
Okay. Now let me tell you one thing. This is a very good question, and there is a very commonly understood the concept by the students that is it a 50-50%? Because if there are two things are given, two topics are given in a question, so how are we going to give the weightage for it? So better we cannot divide the weightage according to 50-50. Sometime what is required, we can give more examples to the to ijma, and there are for ijma we need to write down the types of the ijma, we need to give the examples of the ijma. So it means ijma has to be written down more in detail, and for specific criteria for qiyas we have to write down the definition, the approval, and we have to give the we will not find the detail as we have found out for the ijma. Am I clear enough? So we cannot divide 50-50. It can be 40, it can be 60. So it depends on the topic you are writing down, and it depends on the content you have found for. So every topic does not have the same content. It does not have the same detail. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Shall I move to the next slide?
मैं मतलब आप कह रही हैं कि हम लोगों ने हर चीज को कवर करना है लेकिन उसकी डिटेल में नहीं जाना, मतलब इतनी डिटेल लिखेंगे हम लोग क्या आपके बारे में जो हम लोग इजमा के बारे में लिखेंगे.
जैसे अभी आपका मॉक एग्जाम याद है, आप लोगों को मॉक एग्जाम में कौन सा क्वेश्चन आया था? बल्कि आपका अगर मैं क्वेश्चन दूं, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई आस्क यू टू राइट अबाउट द इजमा एंड यानी हाउ कुरान इज यूज्ड विद द सेकेंडरी सोर्सेस, लेट्स सपोज दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन इन लॉ मेकिंग. इफ यू बीन आस्क्ड हाउ Quran is used with the secondary sources, it means that you have to write about ijma and you also have to write about qiyas. It means that you have to fulfill all the criteria. Right? What is the criteria? Number one, the definition of the ijma. Number two, the importance of the ijma. Number three, the reference for writing down or accepting ijma from Quran and from hadith. And number four, two or three examples from ijma that is compared with the Quran. Same criteria will go for qiyas.
मैम इस
Am I
क्वेश्चन
clear
के अंदर
enough?
कुरान एक्सप्लेन करेंगे?
बिल्कुल करेंगे। पहले आप बताएंगे कि कुरान क्या है। कुरान प्राइमरी सोर्स है। कुरान प्राइमरी सोर्स है। कुरान की डेफिनेशन और इंपॉर्टेंस बताएंगे आप। फिर आप सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज को डिफाइन करेंगे और फिर इसके रेफरेंस देंगे। ठीक है? All right. So common mistakes, we have done the common mistakes. अब हम let's just move on towards the next slide. Advice क्या है आपके लिए? Look at the answer overall and think. Have I covered all aspects of the topic? Okay ji. Please make sure before answering this question, read the question carefully, underline the key points. Everyone make it mandatory, compulsory for all of you. क्या करना है आपने? You have to underline the keywords. Underline the keywords. All of you, please make sure that you're underlining it. And then when you underline the keywords, it means that half of your answer is there. You have understood the marking scheme. And if you do not underline the keywords, maybe you have misread the question and you are writing down a very different answer. I'm going to give you an example for my student, a very good student of mine over the past year. What he did was, the question was about trace the event which led up to the migration, to the migration. Now, he did not read the question carefully and he had written down completely the answer of the migration to Medina. Do you think this can be given mark? Do you think?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
Because the question was about, question was, trace the events which led up to the migration. Got it? Revision. How you are going to start the revision? We have less time for the revision. We have a week to go, but still we can have the revision checklist with us. This is going to help you in preparing the examination. It is divided into general advice for all the papers. आप क्या कर सकते हैं? Paper 1 and paper 2 के लिए किसका कर सकते हैं? You can track a record. Use the tick boxes. Please, please, please. Tick boxes अपने पास इसका करिए to keep a record of what you have done, what will plan to do, and what you have to understand. And then जनरल एडवाइस आपके लिए, और फिर उसके बाद बिफोर एग्जामिनेशन मैं बताऊंगी कि आप लोगों ने क्या करना है. फाइंड आउट व्हेन द एग्जामिनेशंस आर, यू ऑलरेडी नो, एंड प्लान योर रिवीजन सो यू हैव टाइम टू रिवाइज. वी ओनली हैव, दिस इज द टाइम टू रिवाइज ओनली. create a revision timetable and divide it into sections. आपके पास सेक्शन, व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय सेक्शन? जैसे पेपर 1 है, उसके कितने सेक्शंस हैं? वी हैव 4 sections. Quranic passages, history and importance of Quran, life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then the first Islamic community. Am I clear enough? And find out how long the paper is, how many questions you have to answer, how many marks there are for each questions, and work out how long you have to, each question is going to finish. So, and then find out the choices you have on each paper. Do not leave any topic on choice. I repeat, do not leave any section, any topic on choice. Because we are not going to score for the passing grades. We are aiming for level 4, and level 4 means we cannot leave anything on choice. When there is a choice of the question in a section, make sure you revise enough to have a choice. वो पेपर में आप कर सकते हैं, पेपर में लीव कर सकते हैं, रिवीजन में आप लीव नहीं कर सकते हैं. Know the meaning of the command words, very important, used in the questions, and how to apply them to the information given. Okay, right now I'm going to show you some of the command words. Let's see कि command words का क्या मतलब होता है. अच्छा, आपने क्या करना है बेटा? All of you are requested for आप छोटे इंटरवल लीजिए, ब्रेक्स लीजिए, but make sure that you are utilizing the day and the nights are for the rest. Take a good sleep. 4-5 घंटे की sleep is more than enough. All right, ji. Test yourself by writing out the keywords, redrawing diagram, etc. Make sure you define Islamiat terms accurately. अब Islamiat terms क्या होते हैं? जैसे do not use namaz, do not use roza. Islamiat terms are the English words or the Arabic terms, salah or the saum. These are the Islamiat terms, right? Definitions must not reuse the words to be defined. It's very important कि जैसे predestination है, is not simply what God predestines, where a Muslim ends up, heavens or hell, but a belief that God has a plan known in advance since the beginning of the creation. So you need to write down and define the Islamic terms very accurately. आपकी डेफिनेशन रिक्वायर्ड है. अगर एक हदीस है जिसमें लिखा हुआ है कि सिंसियरिटी रिलीजन इज सिंसियरिटी, you should know what is the meaning of sincerity. ठीक है, you should know what is the meaning of sincerity. Okay, it means absence of pretense, deceit, hypocrisy, believing truly in the heart of the meaning. So this needs to be done. अब जैसे आपने religion and sincerity का बताया, तो you should have to do that one. Please make sure you are making your own dictionary. You are writing down. आप अपनी glossary बनाइए और अपने passages को देखिए कि आप किस तरीके से उसको लिख रहे हैं. Main themes का एक आप activity करिए आज के लिए कि write down a piece of paper. Then you have to find out the references. For example, अगर Quranic passages की references याद करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है, make write down the themes, and then, for example, two references for Allah Himself, two references for knowledge, two references for authority or the sovereignty, two references for omnipotence, and then you can write it down. Same is for the category 2, same is for category 3. So make 3 pages and then paste it over the wall. It is important. बेटा ये चीज अगर अभी कर लोगे तो I'm sure you are not going to lose your marks in writing down the references. ठीक है? Learn to spell Islamiat terms correctly. And very important, you have to look at the past questions so that you are clear of what to expect in examination. Please, please, please solve at least 5 to 6 years past papers. ठीक है? Solve 5 to 6 years past papers. They are going to give you a very clear picture कि हमने past papers में कैसे attempt करना है, कौन से वाले questions हैं. Questions repeatedly वही हैं, कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं out of the syllabus आए, सिर्फ words का difference होता है. And I'm sure that you can understand the words, you can write it down, and if you have written down, you have understood the question, you will not be able to find any difficulty in answering it. Correct? Acha ji, I was just telling you, sometimes students, they try to fool the examiner by writing down an irrelevant quotation or a wrong quotation and hadith, and then they put it under the quotation mark. So, beta, let me tell you one thing, that if you are teaching Islamiat for the past many years, so it is very easy to catch these words. It is very easy to catch the mistakes. So do not fool your examiners. You be very specific, be very clear enough in writing down your references. Use the specified passage and other quotations even when it is not required specifically by the question. Quotations from the Quran and Hadith can be chosen from any area, but it should be relevant. Make sure your writing is clear and it is easy to read. All right, Ji. Paper 1 advice. Kya hai advice? Explain the themes in the Quranic passages in the line with the sections, the headings, they are grouped in the syllabus. Take care to explain words. Do not repeat or paraphrase the passage जो मैंने पहले बात कही थी. In the section that about the first Islamic community, including the 4 rightly guided caliph. If you have given any topic about write a biographical account on Hazrat Abu Bakr or Umar or like that, so their lifetime services will be required. Okay? Not their caliphate period. Make sure paper 1, their caliphate event should not be written down. Quotation learned can be used in any questions about any topic, provided they are relevant to the specific question set. So use the evidence of the knowledge. Anything that you want to ask. This is all the tips and the tricks that is for paper 1 and paper 2. इसी तरीके से आप लोगों ने आज जो आपने करना है, you have to write down, make a list of the checklist बनाइए, topics लिखिए, question past paper attempt कीजिए, and quotations की references की एक booklet बनाइए और paste it on the wall in your room, and you will be seeing it every day. और ये आपके लिए क्या होगा, it will be easier for you to recall.
Ma'am, what is
Ma'am,
the
can
tip
you
for
open?
conclusion?
जी बेटू,
Tip for
Yes.
conclusion.
sorry.
How to write the conclusion.
Okay, for example, conclusion for take an example of Battle of Badr. So conclusion means, कि in the end what happened, who won the battle, who lost the battle, what did Muslims they gain, what did the pagans, they lost. So this is the conclusion. So significance of the battle is not required to write down in part A if part B is not focused on the significance. If the part in question number in part A significance is not required, is not asked, तो फिर क्या करेंगे आप significance को भी दे देंगे एक आध sentence में. ठीक है. अच्छा जी, एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टिप है सबके लिए, एक बहुत लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ द नॉलेज को एक छोटे से इसके ऊपर, जो नोट्स आपने आंसर्स लिखे हुए हैं उसके साथ साथ समरी बॉक्सेस बनाइए. ठीक है. सो समरी बॉक्सेस इज गोइंग टू गिव यू द क्लियर, एक आपके लिए की नोट्स हो जाएगा, रिविजन आपके लिए वो हो जाएगी कि यू कैन बिफोर गोइंग फॉर पेपर, so you reading the summary boxes, your answer is done. You do not need to read the entire answer. And you can build up acronyms बना सकते हैं. आपको पता है जैसे battles के लिए कोई ना कोई battles है, war with the Persians है या war with the Romans है, अबू बकर की, हजरत उमर की, तो उनके लिए आप acronyms बना लीजिए. ये एक बहुत अच्छी आपके लिए एक टिप है. ठीक है. सिंबल्स बनाइए, शॉर्ट नोट्स बनाइए, एरोज बनाइए इसके लिए पार्ट 20 के लिए. छोटे छोटे एरोज बना के, जैसे सिग्निफिकेंस है एक के इसकी क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है, फास्टिंग की क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है, उसके साथ आप एरो बना के रख सकते हैं. सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बेनिफिट यू. एनीथिंग दैट यू वांट टू आस्क, कोई और चीज?